Everyone thinks mummies are terrifying, but almost nobody knows the real reason. For thousands of years, people were more scared of something else entirely. It wasn't the wrapped bodies, it was what came after them. One tomb opening in 1922 changed how the whole world saw mummies. And what actually happened next is way weirder than any curse. Stick around because humans did something to mummies that's genuinely disturbing. Mummification wasn't magic. It was a 70-day medical process. Embalmers removed organs one by one, starting with the brain. They pulled the brain out through the nose with a hook. The heart stayed inside. Egyptians thought it held your intelligence. Lungs, stomach, and intestines went into special jars called canopic jars. Each jar had a different animal-headed god guarding it. The body was packed with salt for 40 days straight. That salt, called natron, dried the body out completely. Then came the wrapping, sometimes over 400 yards of linen. Priests tucked charms and amulets between every single layer. One amulet, shaped like a beetle, was placed right over the heart. This wasn't creepy to them. It was an act of love. Egyptians believed this process gave you an actual afterlife. So the mummy itself? Not the scary part, not even close, because the real horror started thousands of years later. 1922. A British archaeologist finds a tomb sealed for 3,000 years. His name was Howard Carter. The tomb belonged to King Tutankhamun. Inside, gold, treasure, and a mummy nobody had touched in millennia. Weeks later, Carter's funder, Lord Carnarvon, gets a random mosquito bite. He shaves it. It gets infected. He dies within months. Newspapers went insane. They called it the Curse of the Pharaohs. Rumors spread that a warning was carved above the tomb door. It supposedly said death would come on swift wings to intruders. That inscription? Historians never actually found it. It was invented. But the story was too good. So the media kept running with it. Every death connected to the excavation team got blamed on the curse. A relative got shot in a random, unrelated incident. Blamed on the curse. Someone caught a cold. Also somehow blamed on the curse. By the 1930s, mummy's curse panic was a full pop culture thing. Hollywood noticed, and in 1932, they made the Mummy movie. Suddenly, mummies weren't ancient bodies. They were horror movie monsters. One tomb, one mosquito bite, and mummies got rebranded forever. But here's the twist. The curse might have been sort of real, just not the magical kind anyone was hoping for. Sealed tombs are basically airtight boxes for thousands of years. Inside, mold and fungus can grow undisturbed for centuries. One fungus, Aspergillus flavus, can seriously damage human lungs. It's been found growing inside multiple ancient Egyptian tombs. Breathe in old tomb dust, and you're breathing in that fungus. There's also bacteria that thrives on decomposing bodies over centuries. Ammonia gas and other toxic fumes can build up inside too. Open a 3,000-year-old sealed room, and that air escapes fast. Scientists now think that's what actually made some explorers sick. Not a pharaoh's ghost, just really bad tomb air quality. Lord Carnarvon was already in poor health before the trip. He'd been in a car accident years earlier that weakened his lungs. A random infection probably just finished off an already fragile man. No ancient spirit needed, just bad luck and bad biology. Researchers studied over 40 people connected to Tutankhamun's excavation. Most of them lived long, completely normal, curse-free lives. The curse killed way fewer people than the myth claims, so the mummy wasn't cursed. The tomb was just unsanitary. But if mummies aren't the scary part, humans definitely are. Fast forward to Victorian England. This part gets uncomfortable fast. Wealthy Europeans started buying actual Egyptian mummies as souvenirs. Then they'd invite friends over for something called an unwrapping party. Yes, a party, where the entertainment was unwrapping a dead body. Guests sipped wine while a host slowly peeled off ancient linen. Sometimes hundreds of people showed up to watch it happen live. One doctor in 1834 unwrapped a mummy in front of a crowd. He handed out pieces of the wrapping as souvenirs afterward. Some hosts even kept the unwrapped bodies as home decorations. Mummified hands were used as bizarre, morbid business card holders. Entire mummies were sometimes propped up in fancy parlor corners. Tourists visiting Egypt could straight up buy a mummy to take home. Some tourists even brought human bones home in their luggage. There are records of mummies being shipped overseas like furniture. Thousands of ancient bodies were destroyed just for entertainment value. The mummies survived 3,000 years of sand. They didn't survive Victorians, and weirdly, that wasn't even the strangest thing people did with them. For centuries, Europeans genuinely believed mummies could cure your illness. It was called mummia. Powdered mummies sold as actual medicine. Pharmacies stocked it right next to regular herbal remedies. People took it for headaches, bruising, even internal bleeding. Demand got so high, fake mummy powder became a real business. Some sellers used random corpses and just labeled them mummy. By the 1600s, mummia was a normal item in medicine cabinets. This continued for literally hundreds of years across Europe. And it doesn't stop at medicine. Painters got involved too. There was an actual oil paint called mummy brown. Yes, ground up ancient Egyptian mummies turned into brown paint. Artists used it in real paintings for over a century. One artist reportedly buried a tube of it after learning what it was. Production only stopped in the 1960s, when supplies simply ran out. Let that sink in. We ran out of mummies to paint with. So to recap, humans ate them, wore them, and painted with them. And one mummy story tops literally all of that. Meet Ramesses II, one of Egypt's most powerful pharaohs ever. In 1976, his mummy needed urgent treatment for a fungal infection. The only experts who could help it were based in France. So Egypt had to legally move a 3,000-year-old body abroad. Problem: you can't just fly a body across borders with no paperwork. So the Egyptian government issued Ramesses II an actual passport. His occupation was listed on it. It said king, deceased. He was given full VIP airport treatment on arrival in France. French officials genuinely greeted him with a formal head of state ceremony. A pharaoh who died in 1213 BC had a modern passport. So no, the mummy was never really the scary part. Because after everything you just heard, ask yourself who's actually the monster here. Ancient Egyptians handled death with more care than anyone gave them credit for. It was later humans who turned bodies into party tricks and paint. Mummies weren't monsters. They were just people who wanted to be remembered. So maybe it's time we stopped calling them scary. If this blew your mind, hit subscribe. History gets way weirder from here.